Good morning, Kairos of Oak Ridge.
Good morning.
This morning we're going to embark on lesson 7 of our battle series of the Old Testament. Up until this point, we've covered starting right here out on the other side of the Jordan River, crossing over in Jericho, Battle of Jericho, and then the king of Gibeon, or the king of Haran, contacted all these other cities with their kings and said, hey, these Israelites were a problem. They've just fought Battle of Jericho and a battle in Ai, and they made an alliance with the Gibeonites, and we don't like that, and so we need to put a stop to them now, or we're all going to be in trouble. So all 5 kings come together, and they come out and fight. Israel whips them, and then goes back and just whips everybody that's left over in the cities. And at that point, it completed the southern campaign, which is the area around Jerusalem. So then he's encamped at Gilgal. He goes up to Mount Ebal and Mount Gerizim, and they do the blessings and cursings, and then they come back to Gilgal. Well, now the kings up north go, this doesn't look good down here. If we don't come together right now and do something about this, we're going to suffer the same consequences as all these kings down here in the southern kingdom. So it's the king of Hazor, which is right up here, is the main one. We're going to read here in just a minute. Contacts the kings of these other cities here, and several others in this region that aren't really specified. And so that's where we are right now. We're going to be in Joshua chapter 1. It's the whole chapter, verses 1 through 23. And once again, God calls the Israelites to complete obedience, to do what I tell you to do, and that every victory must be finished in His strength, not your strength. So we've had miraculous victories in Jericho, Ai, and Gibeon. And now the northern kingdom rises up. And they need to unite, or they're going to fall one by one. So it's King Jabin of Hazor, which is right up here, makes another coalition. And we have armies of Medan, Shimron, Aksaph, and all their hosts as numerous as the sand of the seashore, it says in verse 4. So how many is as numerous as sands in the seashore? That's a lot of army. That's a big army. We'll learn a little bit more about that in a minute. So it's really going to be the largest military force that Israel has faced so far. And yet, the same God who crumbled the walls of Jericho and halted the sun for a whole day is still here. And He proves to be faithful. So we're going to start off in verse 1 of chapter 11. Partial obedience is never enough. It's got to be all obedience. And God expects us to finish what He starts. So, and it came to pass when King Jabin, king of Hazor, heard these things, that he sent to Jobab, king of Medan, to the king of Shimron, to the king of Aksaph, and to the kings who were from the north in the mountains, in the plain south of Shinneroth, in the lowland, and in the heights of Dor on the west, to the Canaanites in the east and in the west, the Amorite, the Hittite, the Perizzite, the Jebusite in the mountains, and the Hivite below Hermon in the land of Mizpah. So this is this whole region. He's calling out to all these other kings. That's in addition to the ones he named. And say, look, we got to do something. Now it says in the plain south of Chinneroth. What is that? Chinneroth. You have any idea what that means? Kinneret is another pronunciation for that. Kinnereth. It's the Sea of Galilee.
Oh,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
I
the
see
Sea of
it.
Galilee.
It's right on the Sea of Galilee.
Chinneroth, Kinneret, Galilee. Kinneret is the Hebrew word Shinneroth, and I've got it down here. Oh, Chinneroth is the Greek spelling for Kinnereth. Okay. And Kinnereth, it's the Sea of Galilee, and Kinnereth means harp shaped, because the Sea of Galilee is shaped like a harp, and so that's why it has that name.
Kinneret.
So it's this area south of in the plain right in here. In the lowland, in the heights of Dor to the west, and the Canaanites. Oh, okay. And so they went out, and this is verse 4, and all their armies with them, as many people as the sand is on the seashore in multitude. Josephus wrote that it was 300,000 soldiers, 10,000 cavalry, and 20,000 chariots is what they faced.
Wow.
Okay, so this is a pretty big army. And goes on with very many horses and chariots. And when all these kings had met together, they came and camped together at the waters of Memron to fight against Israel. And that's right in here. Somewhere in right here is Memron. So in this area right in here. Now Hazor was the dominant northern city. It was an important royal center. It was heavily fortified. It's right here. And I'm gonna demonstrate here a little bit more about how big that city was. Okay, so Jabin is the king. He's got all these chariots, horses, and soldiers beyond number, according to what the Bible says, beyond more than the sands. And they unite at Memron to attack Israel. Now, sometimes it seems like the closer you get to the promise that God has for you, the tougher the battle becomes right before the finish. And that's what we see here. This is the biggest obstacle that they faced so far. So God let them fight the small battles, right? Small, a little bit bigger. Yeah, it's the biggest. So in those small battles, he was building their faith. If they'd have walked into this one right first, they might have gotten in trouble.
Yeah.
Right? So you see how God's been working through this and where he's been moving them, letting them take up a little bit at a time until they get their feet under them, get the understanding of how to fight. Because really, before they came here, they really didn't have to fight that much as a military operation. Okay, so God's bringing them along. He's training them as they go, and they're learning. They learned that they better listen and do what he said to do, or they'll lose a small battle as IE, right? If there's sin in the camp. So God is waiting for the biggest fight, or preparing you for the biggest fight, and Satan's always trying to get the biggest fight is the last. If he can whip you a little bit coming into it, you'll be softened up and weaker before you get to that last fight. That's what generally happens, right? You get chewed up a little bit, you get attrition comes into play, where you're losing people, you don't have your army's getting reduced as it's fighting, then it gets to the end of the big one, you're set up for a loss. But Satan is not as big as God. Okay. Verse 6. But the Lord said to Joshua, do not be afraid because of them. For tomorrow about this time, I will deliver all of them slain before Israel. You shall hamstring their horses and burn their chariots with fire. So God's saying, you got this. Just do what I say. You got this, right? Do not be afraid. You know how many times we hear Jesus say, fear not, fear not. Do not be afraid, it's me. He's saying, don't be afraid of them. Tomorrow you're gonna whack them. It's gonna be a done deal. And God tells them, to enact a clear act of obedience. He says, hamstring the horses and burn the chariots. Now, why in the world would God say hamstring the horses? You know, I love horses. I can't imagine crippling up an animal like that.
No.
So why would he tell them to do that?
I guess keep them from pursuing them if any of them survive. Maybe.
Well, there's an issue about it. These pagans used their horses in their pagan worship.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
So there's more behind it than what you actually see. And so did Judah later in 2 Kings 23:11 it says, "Then he removed the horses that the kings of Judah had dedicated to the sun
Oh gosh.
at the entrance of the house of the Lord by the chamber of Nathan Melech, the officer who was in the court, and he burned the chariots of the sun with fire." That's in 2 Kings. They later had to deal with horses and chariots. See, God's teaching you, you don't have to depend on this captured military technology. Just keep trusting in me alone. Psalm 20, verse 7 reinforces that. Some trust in chariots and some in horses. But we will remember the name of the Lord our God. So, the lesson is rely on me, not on what you capture. Nothing you capture. Still rely on me. I mean, have you been tempted to rely on something that maybe, you know, would lead you astray or take away from your trust in God? Or do you get something where you get another lesson to get a fresh dose of trust and faith working together in your life? Okay. Verse 7. So Joshua and all the people of war with him came against them suddenly by the waters of Merom, and they attacked them. Now, when we read this chapter, it's just 23 verses, and it goes, bada bing, bada boom. War's over, we won. But you got to realize the time involved in this. It's not bada bing, bada boom. To go from Gilgal to this area is a 5-day walk. So it's not sing, 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 voila. And it says here a little bit, we'll read. Verse 8, and the Lord delivered them. He told them to attack them now, suddenly. See, they were down here in Gilgal when God told them what to do. And they didn't sit here and wait for this army to come to them. They want to hit them, which they didn't expect. They probably had no idea. This was not going to come up here and hit us. We're 300,000 with all these chariots and stuff. They'd be stupid to come up here and attack us, right? It says he attacked them suddenly. Verse 8, and the Lord delivered them into the hand of Israel, who defeated them and chased them to the greater Sidon, to the brook Mereshoth, and the valley of Mizpah, eastward, and attacked them until they left none of them remaining. So Joshua did to them as the Lord had told him. He hamstrung their horses and burned their chariots with fire. 10,000 chariots, that's a lot of bonfires. And horses, it said they had, how many did Josephus say? Did I say they had? Chariots. Josephus say?
Wow.
Mm.
10,000.
Get up here, where is it? Oh. 10,000 cavalry. It's 10,000 horses. 20,000 chariots.
That's not counting the horses though for the chariots. That's more
Yeah.
than 10,000.
That's another 40,000 horses.
Yeah, because there's at least two
Usually
to four.
2
to 4
Yeah.
for a chariot.
Usually
so.
two are chariots, so that's a lot of horses.
I've seen them hurt.
Is that a fire?
It makes them so they can barely walk. That's a shame, but
I know. I wish they'd have just killed them.
yeah.
I kind of feel sorry for the horses. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, God has a reason. He always included their animals.
Yeah, he did.
When even fasting,
It was just,
make your animals fast. You know, that's pretty, seems extreme, but God has reasons
Said,
for building that holiness.
he chased them to the greater Sidon. That's up here. That's where he chased them, right there. Chased them out of here up to there.
Is that Lebanon?
Today it's, yeah, in Lebanon today, yeah. Chapter 10. Joshua turned back at that time and took Hazor and struck its king with a sword. For Hazor was formerly the head of those kingdoms. He was the king over all the other kings. And they struck all the people who were in it with the edge of the sword, utterly destroying them. There was none left breathing. Then he burned Hazor with fire. This is the only town that he burned. Yeah. Now, just to give you perspective, Jericho, the city of Jericho was 8 acres. Not very big. I grew up on a little quote unquote farm out in the country. It was 12 acres. And I'm thinking, man, that's a small spot. Hazor is 200 acres.
Wow,
it was a big city.
Yeah, it's a big city, yeah.
that's huge.
Jerusalem at that time was 225 acres.
Wow,
It's 30,000 acres today.
wow.
Yeah. So he singled out special treatment for Hazor because of it was the main town and occupied a position of immense strategic importance. It dominated several branches of the highway. There's that way of the sea, they call it, the trade route,
Really going to be
the
important.
big trade route that runs
Yeah.
through here. That was the main, one of the main hubs was the town of Hazor. It said, several branches of the ancient highway was led from Egypt to Syria and on to Assyria and to Babylon.
Yeah,
The location on the trade routes contributed to the city's wealth. Hazor alone among the northern cities was both seized and burned. Though Joshua may have decided to save the other captured cities for later Israelite use, he determined to make an example of Hazor, capital of all these kingdoms, and the convener of their armies. If great Hazor could not escape, the Canaanites would be forced to acknowledge that any city could be burned if Joshua so decreed. So by taking that one out, he's showing, you think you got some stuff, look what we did here. Y'all are toast.
That's probably where all our major pagan temples and stuff would have been.
Oh, yeah.
That big city.
Oh, yeah. Verse 12. So all the cities of those kings and all their kings Joshua took and struck with the edge of the sword. He utterly destroyed them as Moses, the servant of the Lord, had commanded. But as for the cities that stood on their mounds, Israel burned none of them except Hazor only, which Joshua burned. Verse 14. And all the spoil, shalom, of these cities and the livestock the children of Israel took as booty for themselves. See, who's the guy that sinned? Achan? See if he'd have just waited.
Yeah.
He could
Yeah.
have- all he do is wait. Be obedient and wait. They got it all for themselves. Whatever was there, they're allowed to take whatever they found. But they struck every man with the edge of the sword until they had destroyed them, and they left none breathing. As the Lord had commanded Moses his servant, so Moses commanded Joshua, and Joshua did. He left nothing undone of all that the Lord had commanded Moses. He checked off every box. Whatever God said do, that's what we're going to do. We've got to kill all these people. That seems cruel, men, women, and children. But these people were full of the devil. They were completely pagan. And God told them, you know, if you leave these people here, they're going to cause you trouble later. They're going to be a thorn in your side because of all the wickedness that was going on in these cities, all the sin. And, you know, when you read the book of Leviticus chapter 18, it spells out all the sexual immorality. and what it is in the bottom, and then when you read the final chapter, somebody pull up Leviticus 18
Okay.
and go all the way to the bottom of the chapter.
Okay.
When you get past all the rules and regs about what sexual morality is,
Give me just a minute. Pulling it up.
go to chapter 19 and then go up about 4 or 5 verses. You'll see where a paragraph starts. And God's giving them a warning. If you do this stuff,
You said 18, right?
yeah, Leviticus 18,
Do it this way.
it starts off at something like, so did all the people who live here commit these sins, or something like that. He's giving them a warning. Anybody got it yet?
You said to go all the way to the bottom.
Bottom of chapter 18.
Okay, there's 30.
Get past all the don't do this, don't do that.
Uh-huh.
And then there's the last paragraph where God gives them an instruction warning. You find it? All right.
You're 19? It's right on 18, go back
It's
one.
it's the last
That's the last
4 or 5 verses of chapter
It's the
18.
last 5 verses.
I'm just guessing. You'll have to see where the break is.
Okay, well, okay. Okay, I think it, and, okay, so, I think it's verse 24.
All right.
Defile not ye yourselves in any of these things.
Yeah.
For in all these the nations are defiled, which I cast out before you. And the land is defiled. Therefore I do visit the iniquity thereof upon it, and the land itself vomiteth out her inhabitants. Ye shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgments, and shall not commit any of these abominations, neither any of your own nation, nor any stranger that sojourneth among you. For all these abominations have the men of the land done, which were before you, and the land is defiled. That the land spew not you out also when ye defile it, as it spewed out the nations that were before you. For whosoever shall commit any of these abominations, even the souls that commits them, shall be cut off from among their own people. Therefore shall ye keep mine ordinance, that ye may commit not any of these abominable customs, which were committed before you, and that ye defile not yourselves therein. I am the Lord your God.
So they were doing all that stuff in Leviticus 18. They defiled the land. So God made a judgment on them on their sin. And that's why he sent their Israelites in to wipe them out, so they wouldn't be mixed in with any of that. And don't you do this, or you will be vomited out also. Well, they got vomited out eventually, mostly because of idol worship. But he warned them. That's why all these people had to be destroyed. They were wicked, and he wanted none of that blending in.
Yeah.
What happens when you mix in just a little sin?
Leaven, it touches
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
It ruins the
That's
whole
why I
world.
keep telling you, homosexuality is not that big a deal. It's only 4% of the population. It's like snake venom.
Yeah.
It just takes a little bit, and it'll kill you. And we can be vomited out. So that's why it seems cruel. You know, later you read where when they went and moved into some of these housing in some of these cities, and they were warned if a certain kind of fungus or something comes up on the walls, have the priest come in and cleanse the house, and if you can't, then destroy the house. It's because they had idols, little idols, little figurines and stuff in the walls. Where they dedicated the home, they put a little idol in the wall, you know, and put it between a rock and in the concrete layer,
Right.
you know, and so the house, and so when this stuff showed up, it was pointing out the locations of where these idols are in the foundation. And so God knew they were there and knew that it would cause them a problem. So the priest had to come in and cleanse the house. They were built by pagans. It's just some of the stuff they had to deal with. So, they had to cleanse the land, vomit these people out. They had to go. So Joshua didn't wait. He launched a surprise attack. They got a total victory. Armies were routed, chariots burned, horses disabled. City of Hazor burned to the ground and destroyed the head of the alliance, killed the king. Initially, Jabin didn't get involved in the attack. God held him back. God restrained Jabin, but then, it says in verse 15, well, verse 15 summarizes it all. As the Lord commanded Moses, his servant, so did Joshua. He left nothing undone of all that the Lord commanded. So the key to victory is complete obedience. Doing everything that the Lord says. Not just what we think is reasonable. We might think it's reasonable. Man, I don't want to hobble those horses. No, you better do it. It doesn't feel reasonable. But you got to know the whole story. Just like this situation in Leviticus 18. You got to know the whole story. So, do we have anything in our lives, unfinished obedience with God, that He's waiting for you to complete before you can allow something to happen? See, Joshua was a brilliant leader. He always attacked first. Every one of these battles we see, he's the one that's attacking. He's not waiting to receive an attack. He's on the offense. He used the element of surprise. They didn't expect them to come up there and hit them when they're all assembled together, all big and bad, right? But once they fell into retreat, he never let up from chasing them. He didn't just chase them off and let them go. He chased them all the way up here.
So we killed him.
I mean, from here to here is a 5-day walk. That's another 5-day walk. Just walking, not counting fighting the whole way. And he hit them out there in the open before they could get to their cities. It's harder to fight somebody in a city than it is out in the open. See, and Joshua was if he made a promise, he kept it. He made a promise to Rahab. He made a promise to the Gibeonites. He was a promise keeper. Probably the first promise keeper.
First member of the Promise Keepers.
And he didn't use his position for personal gain. He didn't go out and say, give me all this, I'm the king now. I want all this stuff, bring me the best of whatever. He didn't do any of that. He told him, go there, go, it's there, go get it. Whatever spoil you have is yours. He didn't, nowhere it says, then bring me this and this and this. He only said, bring me this and this and this when God said, bring it. The gold and silver in the first battle, right? Jericho. Y'all don't take any spoil. Bring me the, God says.
But that was also the first fruits.
Yeah.
Because, like, think back about even the law said your firstborn will be my first fruits.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to pay to redeem your own sons and keep them in your family. You have to pay an offering instead of sending your son to the temple or whatever. And that's the same right here. The first battle was Jericho, so all the spoils belong to the Lord.
Yep. And all Achan had to do was be a little patient. But had to learn a harsh lesson. Okay, verse 16. Thus Joshua took all this land, the mountain country, all the south, all the land of Goshen, the lowland and the Jordan plain, the mountains of Israel and its lowlands, from Mount Halak in the ascent to Seir, even as far as Baal Gad in the valley of Lebanon, that's way up here, below Mount Hermon. Mount Hermon is, I don't know if I can, it's right in here somewhere, basically right in this area. He captured all their kings and struck them down and killed them. 18. Joshua made war a long time with those kings. It was a long time. It says so right here. This probably took a month or more as he worked his way through all of it. There was not a city that made peace with the children of Israel, except the Hivites, the inhabitants of Gibeon. All the others they took in battle. For it was of the Lord to harden their hearts, that they should come out against Israel in battle, that he might utterly destroy them, and that they might receive no mercy, but that he might destroy them as the Lord had commanded Moses. And at that time, this is verse 21, that time Joshua came out and cut off the Anakim. Who's the Anakim?
Some of them were giants.
That's the giants.
They were the
Descendants
descendants
of
of the
Anak.
Nephilim.
That's from Numbers, right?
Yeah, it goes way back. Yep. Cut off the Anakim from the mountains, from Hebron, from Debir and Anab, from all the mountains of Judah, and from all the mountains of Israel. Joshua utterly destroyed them with their cities. None of the Anakim were left in the land of the children of Israel. They remained only in Gaza, in Gath and Ashdod. That's down here. Oh, Gaza! Ashdod.
That's the Philistines.
That's right. And who came out of there?
Goliath.
Goliath was left over.
Hamas now.
God had a use for Goliath, so he let him live.
Yeah.
He had a use for him. I'm going to let you stay there because I'm going to make an example of you a little later. Anybody want to teach on that?
What? Yeah.
Yeah, you're already lined up for it.
I know.
Okay. 23. So Joshua took the whole land according to all that the Lord had said to Moses. And Joshua gave it as an inheritance to Israel, according to their divisions by their titles. Then the land rested from war. In chapter 12 and 13, it's where he goes out and casts lots. And you get this lot, and you get that lot, and you get a big lot, and you get a little lot. And that's why when we sell land today, in town it's called lots. Because they cast lots to divvy up the land by tribe. They each had their own area. So, then the land rested from, did I read this? See. Yeah. Then the land rested from war. So, you got to remember that all these Anakim he just whacked are the same people that the 40 spies saw and was afraid of.
He was one of those spies, too.
That's right, he and Caleb.
That was
And it
another
wasn't in this
reason.
story, but Caleb, says, let me take Hebron. He said, that's mine. I'm 80 years old. I'm as fit as I was when I was 40. And he whooped there and whooped him. And that was some more of the Anakim. Okay? All, the land's full of giants. Joshua just went in there and whipped them. Killed them all. Why? Because God's on your side. No giant's any bigger than God. So by and part, they were pretty much completely removed, except for we know that one part which played a part in the big story later on. So all the northern region, the mountains, the Negev in the south, all of it, the vast majority of it now is under Jewish control, Israelite control. So when they finally rested from war, they've now received the land that was promised. That's why it's called the Promised Land. So God's promises are for real. They're sure. You just have to believe it and do what he says. It's not going to be on your timing. It's going to be on his timing. And God requires perseverance. Some battles are won quickly, like a seven day march around, what did I say, 8 acres?
Yeah.
A 7 day march around 8 acres. It goes down. Town of IE took a couple of days because they had to learn a lesson. Now this one takes a little longer. The Southern Campaign took probably several weeks. The Northern Campaign says a long time. I'm going to guess a month or so. But you just have to persevere. And some battles aren't quick, and others require endurance. So are you willing to fight faithfully as long as God commands? Even if the victory takes some time. You may have to fight a while. So if we paid attention thus far, in every one of these sovereign victories, they all started out with the Lord delivered them into his hand. Israel fought, but God won. He delivered them in the hand. He orchestrated it. That's all we got to do. Is just take what we have in our hand, what he gives us, and then follow and do what he says. Joshua's obedience mirrors what Moses did. How Moses did what he was told. His success flowed from doing as the Lord commanded. That was the way it was with Moses. Now it is with Joshua. And there's this connection. Yehoshua means Yahweh saves. Yehoshua. It's a derivative. It's a slightly different pronunciation of Yeshua. And so Joshua left nothing undone, and neither did Jesus. Jesus finished it on the cross. He left nothing undone. So for us, we need to learn that we need to finish what God starts. Don't stop halfway. And if fatigue or comfort tries to set in, we got to try to not let that happen. Trust God over what resources you think you have or need. If he says go, you need to go. You know, the other enemy had horses and chariots and a massive army. But that may seem, they surely felt secure in it, that they had this massive army. They were going to whip Israel up one side and down the other. But world security doesn't overcome the strength of the Lord. We have to endure long campaigns sometimes. Some things require years of faithfulness. Have y'all ever fought a prayer battle for a long time and then finally, when it seemed like nothing's going to happen, it finally did? And give the credit where it's due. It's God. Every success belongs to him alone. You go, well, wait a minute. I did all this, this, and this, and this, and this, and this. What do you mean it's all God's? Well, how'd you get here? You were wonderfully made and knit in the womb by God. God made you. So anything you do is God's. You're just a tool in his hand. You get a big head and you're going to stumble and fall. You try to take the glory. Don't do that. Ooh. It will not go well. God won't share any of his glory. Give God the credit. So why did God say, hollow the horses and burn the chariots instead of keeping them? What are we saying during this? What was the reason for that?
They didn't want to put their strength in horses.
Or
chariots.
Under the scripture, some trust in horses and some trust in chariots, but I will trust in the name of the Lord.
Right. So what about when it says, talking about Joshua, says he left nothing undone? What does that teach us about obedience?
It says follow all the commandments.
He did everything God told him to do. He left nothing undone.
What does it teach us about leadership? Do a good job.
So what do you do to handle a time when the battle just seems to go on and on? Drags on longer than what you expect.
Persevere.
Persevere. It's like one of the quotes I have from Outlaw Josie Wales. Endeavor to persevere. One of the lines from that movie. And that's what you have to do. Endeavor to persevere.
Persevere.
So what about how Joshua completed this assignment? How does that compare to the way Christ completed his assignment?
I mean, they were both successful.
Yeah.
They left nothing undone.
Left nothing undone. Y'all got a sweatshirt
And there
on.
on the cross, he said, "It is done."
It is finished.
Or it is finished.
That's
Exactly right.
good.
Yeah.
Mm.
I've got a sweatshirt at home. It's got the state of Tennessee, and then it's got a cross, and it says, "Jesus Christ, the ultimate volunteer."
Love that.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Is it orange?
Oh yeah. Well, it's got orange on it. So Hazor was the final stronghold in the north of Canaan land. It was the last great obstacle before the rest. And Joshua's total obedience brought total victory. And God still calls his people to the same. We're still called to operate in that same kind of faith, to finish every fight that he places in front of us. We're going to come into battles. That's just the way life is. There's going to be something that we have to fight in front of us. But when he places it in front of us, we have to make sure that we rely on his power and give him the glory. And we'll be successful. Okay.